Namaskar. Hello learners and viewers. Welcome to this session on CSR in India. Today we have the resource person, Dr. Nisha Varghese from School of Extension and Development Studies. Today our resource person, Dr. Nisha, will be talking about CSR in India. Dr. Nisha, when we talk about CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, this is the buzzword. It's like, you hear a lot about CSR. So what is CSR?
Dr. Grace, as you know, when a company operates at any place for business purposes, it uses the various resources of that community. For instance, it would be using the land, it would be using the other natural resources like water, electricity, and maybe it will also be using the labor that is available in that particular community. So when the companies are using the resources of a particular community for their profit or for their benefit, when they are operating in a particular community, it is also their responsibility to give back to the society.
Right.
So how can they give back to the society in terms of development, in terms of upliftment of that particular area or that particular region in which they are operating? So this is, commonly speaking, this is the basic concept of corporate social responsibility. The United Nations Industrial Development Organization, it defines corporate social responsibility as CSR is a management concept whereby the companies integrate the social and environmental concerns into their business operations and interactions with their stakeholders. CSR is generally understood as being the way through which a company achieves a balance of economic, environmental, and social imperatives, which is also known as the triple bottom line approach, while at the same time addressing the expectations of the shareholders and stakeholders, which means that when a company operates in any particular community or when it operates in any particular region, it is the duty of that company, to look at its economic impact that it has on a particular society, look at the environmental impact that it will be having in a particular society, and look at the social impact that it will be having in a society. So the economic, environmental, and social impacts, this is known as the triple bottom line approach. So when they are addressing addressing the expectations of the shareholders or the stockholders by making profit through their various activities or production, it is also their duty to look at the environmental, social, and economic impacts that they are having in any particular community. Let us, for example, take the example of Tata Steel. How Tata Steel is working towards social responsibility, towards economic responsibility, and environmental responsibility. For example, in terms of social responsibility, Tata Steel is working towards community development, towards healthcare, towards education and skill development, and towards employment welfare when it comes to social responsibility. For example, the Tata Steel Rural Development Society, it is involved in improving the quality of the individuals or of the society through by taking up various projects which are related to health, which are related to education, skill development, rural infrastructure, etc. Also, they have various healthcare initiatives. For example, the Tata Steel, it operates various hospitals and mobile medical units in various remote areas. For example, they have this medical hospital in Kalinganagar, Odisha. So, the basic idea is to provide healthcare facilities to the far-flung remote areas of the society where otherwise these facilities do not reach. Also, they are working towards education and skill development. For example, they have this project called Thrive, which is a skill development initiative of Tata Steel. So through this initiative, they are involved in vocational training of the individuals and into skill development so that they can be profitably employed in some occupation. Also, Tata Steel has been taken care of employee welfare. They are very focused in employee welfare much before the Companies Act, or much before CSR became mandatory. Tata Steel has been doing CSR in its own way. It has been taking care of employee welfare by through various labor policies that they have, but through the maternity benefits that they give to the women, and through the various safety measures they have taken up in their various plants, various setups. So this is how they take care of their social aspect. Now coming to the environment responsibility, Tata Steel is also involved in various activities in such a way that it is environmentally beneficial. For example, they are involved in carbon footprint. They strive towards carbon footprint reduction. How do they do that? They have invested heavily in energy efficient technologies, and they also generate energy through waste materials. So this is how they reduce their carbon footprint. Then they have taken up various green energy initiatives. Tata Steel utilizes, it invests in solar energy projects. So it utilizes the energy that is freely or naturally available. Then it also emphasizes on sustainable manufacture. It invests in carbon dioxide emission reduction, technologies. It has also implemented zero waste processes, and it has several waste recycling programs that it has. Then there are various water and energy conservation initiatives that Tata Steel has taken, and biodiversity conservation initiatives, wherein it collaborates with the local organizations to protect the flora and fauna of any particular any particular area or locality where it operates. So this is how they are involved in environmental sustainability, or how they look at the environmental, take care of their environmental responsibility. The third responsibility is the economic responsibility. Tata Steel is also involved in inclusive growth. It supports small businesses through their procurement policies. How do they support small businesses? When they have to procure raw materials, they involve the small businesses. They procure their raw materials from small businesses. This is how they prevent the small businesses from totally being out of business. This is called inclusive growth. Similarly, they have ethical governance. They maintain very high standards of corporate governance. They adhere to transparencies, and they adhere to various labor laws which are in place. Then, as I had already said, they have been looking to employee welfare from the very beginning, even before CSR was mandated. They provide fair wages, they provide equal opportunities to both men and women, and they also take care of workspace safety. So, this is exactly what is CSR, taking care of, while the company makes profit, it also takes care of the environmental impact it has, the economic impact it has, and the social impact it has. So this is about it.
My understanding from your discussion on what is CSR in India is, when a company makes profit, some percentage of the profit is used towards fulfilling economic responsibility, social responsibility, as well as environmental responsibility. And it also means that within these three areas, the underprivileged especially, or people who are in need, are uplifted. And in a way, it brings inclusive growth.
Yeah.
It means that your company will give some percentage from your profit for the upliftment of people who are in need.
Right.
So this is what is the main aspect of CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. Dr. Nisha, I would like to know, and the learners, I believe, would also like to know, this CSR, or corporate social responsibility, what are the phases of its evolution in India?
There are CSR in India, how it has evolved, it can be divided into 5 phases. The first phase would be from 1850 to 1914. Here, CSR was mainly driven by charity and philanthropy. So, the main drivers of CSR during this period, that is 1850 to 1914, which is even before India had attained independence.
Right.
During this period, the main thing was religion. One of the main things was religion. You would have heard of Dan, you would have heard of Seva, you would have heard of Zakat in various religious communities.
Right.
So these are a form in which people used to, or industrial or the companies, they used to give back to the society. Other than this, the industrial houses like the Tatas, the Birlas, the Godrej, the Singhanias, all such business houses, they used to give donations for various purposes. For example, they would give donations for construction of schools, they would give donations for construction of hospitals, temples, rest areas, etc. So this was another form. Also, the businesses were, during this time, they were motivated by various business considerations, like when they give back to the society, how their business can flourish. They were also motivated by the idea of supporting some of the communities, or they were motivated by political objectives. So this is the phase 1. Phase 2 would be from 1914 to 1960. Here, mostly CSR was driven by social development and India's struggle for independence. During this period, this is the phase in which India also attained independence. So during this period, trusts were formed by the business houses, and they were involved in building of various institutions like schools, colleges, etc. And they were also involved in various, companies were also associated with various social movements like abolition of untouchability, like women's empowerment, like rural development. The main idea was to free India, to live in a free India, to conduct their business in a free India, so that the companies can prosper and the country can prosper as well. So this is the second phase. The third phase is from 1960 to 1980. This is the phase wherein CSR was in the mixed economy. Here the role of state came into place.
Right.
During this phase, there were several legislations that came into place on corporate governance. There were several labor laws which came into place. There were several environmental standards which were set up and which the companies had to comply with. So this is the phase where state had an important role to play. However, the state failed to bring about the social and economic development that was expected by the people. And because the state failed, people started looking up to the corporates, and the corporates were expected to be doing their bit towards social development, so towards social accountability. So this was a third phase wherein the mixed economy can be seen playing a role, wherein the state and the corporates both were expected to to contribute towards social responsibility. Now the fourth phase is from 1980 to 2013. This is the interface between philanthropic and business approaches. Here CSR was viewed as a sustainable business strategy. You would be knowing that during 1990s, the Indian economy was liberalized.
Right.
Liberalization came into picture. And when the Indian economy was liberalized, the Indian companies were made to compete, or they were competing with the global market. The economy opened up to the global market. So when the economy opened up to the global market, the companies were now forced to, or they were required to comply with the international standards on labor, international standards on environment. So the the CSR shifted from being totally or purely a philanthropic approach to a business strategy.
Right.
Here, in order to conduct business, the business houses, they needed to comply with certain international standards on labor, on environment, etc. So this is the fourth phase. The fifth phase is the period from 2013 onwards. During this phase, the CSR legislation was made mandatory. The Companies Act 2013. This is the act which changed how CSR was viewed in India. CSR was made mandatory, and India is probably one of the first countries to mandate CSR. Section 135 of the Companies Act, this section governs the CSR activities of the companies in India. Since this act was mandated, you can here look into this table how the number of companies that have been doing CSR has been increasing, except for a minor dip in 2020, from 2020 to 2022, because this was the phase where COVID had happened, and this cannot be taken as a normal business as usual kind of a year.
Right.
So during this period, the number of companies which did CSR, they dipped a bit, but then they again picked up. So as of 2022-23, there were around 24,392 companies which came under mandatory CSR, and the number of projects number of CSR projects, they increased from 32,000 to close to 52,000. And the amount spent on CSR, it also increased from around 20,000 to around 30,000 in just a span of 5 to 6 years. The maximum CSR amount that is being spent is on education and livelihood projects, and this is followed by health and sanitation. Among the various issues in which the CSR amount is being spent, the maximum amount is spent on educational and livelihood projects, and this is followed by health and sanitation. Now you can have a look at the various states, the top 10 states in which the CSR amount is being spent. The maximum CSR amount is being spent in Maharashtra, which is close to 5,497 crores, followed by Gujarat in 2000, which comes to 2,008 crores. So these are the leading top 10 states where CSR funds are being spent. Now, this shows the top 10 companies which are, spending on CSR.
Right.
The highest spender is HDFC Bank, followed by TCS, Reliance, ICICI, Tata Steel, ONGC, Infosys, ITC, NTPC, Power Grid Corporation. So these are the top 10 companies which are spending on CSR. So this is how CSR evolved from a purely philanthropic approach to a CSR being seen as a business strategy.
This was a very interesting, answer to the question on what were the phases of evolution of CSR in India, wherein you talked about 5 phases. The first phase could be termed as a phase where there would be donation on the basis of religion. Then you have the second phase where in terms of the social movements, free India, wherein business corporates would like to have a free India wherein they could do their business properly. Then you have the third phase wherein there is a mixed economy and the role of state comes into play. Then you have the fourth phase where you move from a philanthropic mindset, I would say, to a more business approach. And then you have the fifth phase, which currently we are going through, which is 2013 onwards, wherein the 2013 Companies Act came into being, and which has made it mandatory. Like companies have a mandated CSR rule. Yeah. So when we talk about Companies Act 2013, can you elaborate on that, Dr. Nisha?
Yeah, before the Companies Act 2013 came into being, before that, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in 2009, it had issued the CSR voluntary guidelines, which was soon followed by the National Voluntary Guidelines on Social, Environmental and Economic Responsibilities of Business, which were laid down in 2011. And after that, in 2013, the Companies Act 2013 came into being, and the Section 135 of Companies Act, this is what governs CSR activities of companies in India. Now, what is this Section 135 of Companies Act? It states that the companies with annual turnover of 1,000 crore or more, or a net worth of 500 crores or more, or a net profit of 5 crores or more, must spend at least 2% of their average net profit of preceding 3 financial years on CSR activities. So,
Right.
2% of the net profit of previous 3 years, it has to be spent on CSR activities. The list of activities on which the CSR money can be spent, they are given in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. Now, the mandating CSR was the Government of India's effort to engage the corporate sector to countries' development. Because as we had already discussed, the companies are using the natural resources of the community. So, the Government of India, it mandated CSR so that the companies can give back to the society and they can be a part of India's development. Now, under Section 135, every company which falls under the criteria which we had already discussed of mandatory CSR, they are required to constitute a CSR committee. Okay. Right. Now, what are the roles of this CSR committee? This CSR committee is supposed to formulate the CSR policy. Now, what does the CSR policy contain? The CSR policy, it indicates the list of activities that needs to be undertaken or that will be undertaken by the company. Okay. Now, the another role of the CSR committee is to recommend the amount of expenditure that needs to be done on these activities, which will be 2% of their previous 3 years average profit. Okay. Then the third thing is, the third role is to monitor the CSR policy of the company from time to time, whether the CSR policy is being implemented in its right spirit. Now, what are the roles of the board? Okay. The roles of the board are to approve the CSR policy recommended by the CSR committee. So, it needs to approve the CSR policy and to disclose the policy in its report. The board has to disclose the policy in its report, and it also has to see that it is placed in the company's website. Then the another role of the board is to ensure that the activities that have been mentioned in the CSR policy, they are undertaken by the company, and also to ensure that these activities are in line with the activities that are mentioned in Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. To ensure that the company spends 2% of the average net profit, and while spending, it gives preference to the local area, right, which means that the activities that the company undertakes, it has to undertake that activity within that local area, because they are utilizing the resources of that particular area. So they need to give back to that particular area. And if by any chance the company is not able to spend that amount on CSR, then the board is responsible to give reasons why the company could not spend that particular amount on CSR activities. So these are the functions, or these are the roles of the board.
So when we are talking about Companies Act 2013, where with a specific amount of turnover or net profit, wherein you have to give 20%, where you have to spend 2%, towards CSR, I feel this is a very good practice wherein companies who are worth crores would spend and are spending their profit on, like you said in the beginning, on education, on livelihood, on upliftment of the economically challenged people, and so many areas. So I feel that when you have a Companies Act, like the Companies Act 2013, it ensures that corporates give back to the society. And also there is, like I said in the beginning of this discussion, that there is an inclusive growth and there is inclusive development of the country. So this is a very, it is a very interesting topic that we have discussed with regard to corporate social responsibility, with regard to India. And I would like to thank our resource person for today, who has discussed about what is CSR in India. We also have discussed what are the phases of evolution of CSR in India, where she talked about the 5 phases of evolution, and also the Companies Act 2013. Thank you so much, Dr. Nisha Varghese, for your time. And namaskar. I hope you have all enjoyed this session. Thank you so much.